David Smith here with another Flipped Classroom math video. Let's get started. Today's topic, factoring quadratic trinomials. Okay? And we also call this type of factorization product sum, and you'll see why in a minute. Okay, first I want to show you a standard form for a quadratic trinomial. This would be ax squared plus bx plus c. Okay, so there's our variables, our x squared and our x, and then a, b, and c are coefficients. So, for example, the trinomial x squared plus 7x plus 10, my a is out here. There's no number there, so it means there's a 1. My b is my 7, and my c is 10. Okay? We'll come back to this format several times in the course of our exploration of these topics. So you just need to know that this is sort of a general form, ax squared plus bx plus c, and you need to be able to extract the numbers connected to the letters. Okay? Okay, so let's do one of these problems. X squared plus 11x plus 24. So in order to factor this, we need to find two numbers that multiply to 24 but add to 7. Okay? So I'm going to be very thorough in this, and I'm going to consider all the possibilities. When you get used to these problems, you're going to be able to do a lot of these steps in your head and just go forward. Okay, so I'm going to write it like this. Here's my product, and here's my sum. So the product has to be 24, and the sum has to be 11. So let's try all the possibilities. Starting with 1 times 24. That gets us to 24. But what does 1 and 24 add to? 25. So it's not 11. Let's keep going. What's another way to multiply to 24? 2 times 12. So let's do that. 2 times 12. But what does that add up to? 14. Not so good. Okay? So let's try another one. What's the next way to multiply to 24? How about 3 times 8? What is that? I'm sorry. Yeah, 3 times 8 multiplies to 24. What does it add to? Adds to 11. Oh, that's what we were looking for. Let's just do one more just to make sure there's not another possibility. What's the other way to multiply to 24? 4 times 6. What does that add to? 10. Okay? So we know now that this is the one that we want. So the rest is simple. Very, very simple. You just grab these two numbers and put them in your parentheses. And the nice thing about this is once you've gone through this process, you wound up with your factorized version. Remember, these two expressions are equivalent. This is the same thing as this. This is just expanded. This is just factored. You can FOIL this, and you'll wind up right back where you started. First, x squared, outside 8x, inside 3x, last 24. Combine like terms, x squared plus 11x plus 24. So this really shows you how expansion and factorization are just the opposite techniques of each other. If we go from here to here, that's factorizing. If we go from here to here, that's expanding. Okay, let's do some examples. X squared plus 7x, minus 7x plus 12. Okay, so remember the technique. Two numbers that multiply to 12 but add to negative 7. Okay, so let's break down 12. I'm just going to do this a little less formally off here. If you like that table we did in the last one, you can use that. So the first way to multiply to 12 might be 1 times 12. But when you add those together, you're going to get 13. So it's 1 plus 12 equals 13. Plus, we're not getting a negative sign on our sum. So we need to think a little bit differently. I can tell right now that if I change the 1 to negative or the 12 to negative, I'm still not going to get a 7 in the middle. So we know this combination of factors of 12 isn't going to work. So what's the next one? How about 2 times 6? But we need to have a negative result in the middle. So I'm going to try minus 2 times 6. What does that give us? When we multiply, we have negative 12. And when we add, we have 4. So that's not going to work. Okay? Let's try another one. How about negative 2 times negative 6? That's going to give us positive 12 for our multiplication. But when we add it up, we have negative 8, which is not negative 7. But we're getting closer. So what are our next factors of 12 that we can play around with? Let's try 3 and 4. Oh, guess what? 3 and 4 do add to 7, and they multiply to 12. So now I just have to get my signs right. So if I want to have a positive 12, I've got to have negative 3 times negative 4. That equals positive 12. And negative 3 plus negative 4 adds up to negative 7. So, bingo, negative 3 and negative 4. Once I've found those two numbers, remember, these two numbers multiply to 12 and add to negative 7. Now I just stick them in my factoring. X minus 3 times x minus 4. And there we are. Okay? And then if you want to check, if you have time, you can FOIL this, and it should take you right back to there. Let me give you one to try. Go ahead and pause the video, give this one a shot, come back. Okay, let's see how you did. I need two numbers that multiply to negative 15, but add up to negative 2. So let's see, I'm going to think, how about negative 5 times negative 3? Just kind of pulled that out of my head. I've been here before, so I have a good idea of what to guess for. So negative 5 times negative 3, negative 15. Oops. Didn't really do what I needed it to do, because I'm sorry, it's positive 15, right? Negative times negative is positive. So I'm not going to get my negative 15 here. So I already know it's not going to work, but let's just add them up also. Negative 3 plus negative 5 gives me negative 8. So I don't have the negative 2 I need in the middle either. So that's not going to work. Let's try another one. I'm going to look at these two factors, and I think maybe if I did negative 5 times 3, that gets me negative 15, which is what I wanted there. And then negative 5 plus 3 gives me negative 2, which is what I wanted there. So here are my factors. Negative 5 times 3. So I have x minus 5 and x plus 3. Pretty cool. Now if I FOIL this, I should wind up back here. Okay, here's another one to try. Before I turn you loose, let me remind you, two numbers that multiply to negative 6 and add to 1. There's a 1 there, we don't write it. Multiply to negative 6, add to 1. Pause the video, give it a shot. Okay, let's see how you did. Multiply to negative 6, add to 1. What about negative 2 times 3? I'm just going to give that a try. Negative 2 times 3 equals negative 6. Negative 2 plus 3 equals 1. Okay? So those are our two factors, negative 2 and 3. So now it's a simple process just to go x minus 2 times x plus 3. Okay? Let me give you another one to try. This one's a little bit more complicated. I'll give you a hint. 3x squared plus 6x minus 72. Okay, so a later lesson is going to teach you how to factor when the a term, remember we have ax squared plus bx plus c, when the a term is not 1. Right now, and in this assignment, all the a's are 1, except, whoa, that's not 1. There's a trick for this. there's a GCF, a greatest common factor, in all of these. Factor that out first. The remainder will work with this method. Go ahead and pause the video and give it a try. Okay, let's see how you did. So if you look for your common factor, you'll notice that there's a 3 in each of the coefficients. There's a 3 here, there's 2 3s in there, and then 3 into 72 goes, what, we're 18 times, right? Okay, I think it's 18. 24. So take out the 3, x squared plus 2x minus 24. 3 times 24 gets us back to 72. So now we'll leave this alone. This is on the outside. We're going to look for 2 numbers so that we can factor this piece. 2 ways, or 2 numbers that multiply to negative 24, but add to positive 2. So I'm going to do negative 6 times 4, because that multiplies to negative 24. And negative 6 plus 4 equals negative 2. I'm sorry. Whoops, okay. So what did I do wrong? If you saw this, you're right. I've got to put my negative there and my negative there. So 6 times negative 4 gives me negative 24, and 6 minus 4 gives me positive 2, which is what I need there. Okay, so my 2 factors are 6 and negative 4. So I bring my 3 down, I do my parenthesis, and now I have x plus 6 times x minus 4. So this one is a little bit more complicated because we had a first step we needed to do. Okay? We had to take out our greatest common factor and then turn this into the form where there's a 1 for the a term. And then we could use our technique that we developed here to finish the factoring. And this 3 we factored out just rides along. Okay? Let's try another one. Okay. 77 plus 4x minus x squared. This is a try. Go ahead and pause the video. Give it a shot. Okay, let's see how you did. Now it's a little tricky with this one. This isn't in the same order that you've been dealing with before. Plus there's another little piece that we're going to have to play with here. So let's take a look. Let's put it in the order that we like. That's minus x squared plus 4x plus 77. The correct way to order these is always the squared term comes first, then the term with just the plain x that's not squared, then the number. This is the correct order. Now, you're probably noticing that it's not quite the same. We've got a negative out here. So that's going to make it a little bit more complicated. But tell you what, we can factor the negative 1 out and go negative 1 times x squared. Now if I'm taking a negative 1 out of each of these terms, this becomes negative 4x minus 77. Okay? So now we had to do 2 steps in order to get this trinomial into the form that we can then apply our trick with. Okay. Action. Okay, so now we're looking for 2 numbers that multiply to negative 77 and add to negative 4. If you want to pause it and think about that real quick. Okay, let's see how you did. I think this would be negative 11 times 7. Let's try that. Negative 11 times 7. This gives us negative 77, and negative 11 plus 7 gives us negative 4. Okay? So these factors, negative 11 and 7, work for this expression. So then we have negative 1 times x minus 11 times x plus 7. Okay? What do you think about that? Sweet. Now we could do something else here. Now we could distribute this negative 1 on this first term, and we could change this to negative x plus 11 times x plus 7. But I would take either one of these as a correct answer. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give me a like down below or subscribe.